Welcome back. I'm John, the Landscape Giant. Today we're going to talk about top handle chainsaws. The first saws we're going to talk about are the 2511T and the 355T, all from Echo. They're kind of a great starting point budget-wise. They're not as expensive as the Steels or the Huskies. You get a really nice saw for your money. It's something that's going to last you. It's going to teach you how to use a carburetor and the basics. And if it breaks, you're only out, a few $100s versus $1,000 if you get into some of the 200Ts, or $1,200 to $1,300 if you get into some of the modified saws. Where I started was a 2511T. I've had a couple of these, and they're great. Fresh out the box, they're great to learn how to run. They don't have a ton of power, but they have enough for you to get a basic tree removal, small single spark tree done, maybe a pine or a small maple or small oak, something like that. Nothing bigger than, I'd say, 10 inches. But it's a great starting point. And then I upgraded my 2511T, and I had it ported and polished and an exhaust modification done. The timing changed, and the chain and bar switched out from a 12-inch standard Echo chain and bar to a 14-inch Panther mini bar, which is running a totally different pitch chain. We're down to a quarter pitch chain here. We're at a 3/8 low profile chain over here. And the benefits are huge. This is definitely a step up, and to be honest with you, I think most of us in this industry could get away with just a ported and polished high performance saw that's light, very fast, very nimble for our day-to-day use. For if you're working a longer time, this is where the 355 comes into play. This one's still stock. I'm planning on actually getting one ported and polished, or I might do a ported and polished 200T. I'm not 100% sure yet if I'm going to send my 200 out and see what it could really do. But the 355 is a great saw for someone just getting in. Again, not very expensive. You can really get a lot of bang for your buck. You can get it with a 16-inch bar. You're still running a 3/8 low profile chain. It's fairly easy to sharpen. It's fairly cost effective. They're not super, expensive, but you can hold more fuel, more oil, and you can spend longer time in the tree without having to cycle out and stop for a maintenance issue such as filling up or needing oil. And it's been pretty robust. I've taken down at least, we're up to probably a couple dozen trees now with this particular saw, and it does good. It is heavier, and that is the number one drawback. Weight, I think, is the biggest part. But we're going to put all three of these saws head to head, and we're going to see how they do. My money is on this one right here, but this saw is going to do good too. We're going to sharpen everything, get it all touched up, and then we're going to take them out and give them a whirl. So before we get going, I think it's good to take a better close-up look. So this is a stock 2511. It's got your standard, really easy to sharpen 3/8 low profile chain, standard 12-inch bar, nothing fancy. The exhaust is unimpressive to say the least. And then you have a modified 2511T. We're running a quarter pitch. I mean, look at just the difference in the chain size. We're running a large set of dogs on it. It's done by Redbeard. Incredible work. Really impressed. You can check them out at redbeardsaws at Gmail, redbeardsaws on Instagram. Really impressive. I think it's Nick Stokel on YouTube. I'll leave links to all that. But I mean, really big difference. Look at the exhaust, completely different. And you'll be able to tell once we fire these up. And then we've got just your standard 355T, really basic, again, 3/8 low profile chain, really solid. Exhaust, once again, unimpressive to say the least. But there is one thing that this 355 has a big disadvantage on, and that is the way it fills. These larger opening caps, although it doesn't hold as much oil and fuel, these caps suck. They're difficult to deal with. Sometimes they're hard to get on. It's hard to get a purchase on there with your fingers, especially if you're wearing gloves. And they're small, and the bar is really in the way to filter, where on the 2511 they really mitigated all that by putting this slanted wrap on here for the handle, and it's a much simpler process. But we're gonna sharpen them up and we'll go outside and take these all for a test run. Be cutting a bunch of maple up, and to be honest, this is typical what you're going to cut, you know, that 7 inch stuff. We'll get into some bigger stuff, you know, but this is a pretty standard limb, and let's see how they do. I think in the small stuff we're going to be really close. It'll be a little bit farther apart once we get up, and then once we get into some really large stuff, we're going to notice the difference. Let's be honest, that with a stock saw, that was painful. It's pretty obvious how just stock it is. Like it doesn't have any pizzazz, there's no thrills to it, but it's so light that it could be awesome. So let's watch what happens with a really awesome saw. Don't leave it stock. I think that's the answer to that. But let's see what happens when you upgrade to a 355. once again, not overly exciting on the 355. It's stock. It's not supposed to be overly exciting. It's a good out-of-the-box saw. We're cutting hard seasoned maple. It is what it is. You know, pine, some of that stuff you can chew through a little bit. Carburetors probably need touched up a tiny bit, but that's what you're getting. Let's cut something a little bit bigger and just show you how it's going to bog down. So you saw me cut a few cookies. You saw the saws run. You saw the wood we were cutting. We're in nice seasoned maple. It's going to be great firewood. And you're probably asking yourself, what does it all mean? Well, I think it means that these are great saws. And for the price point, they're extremely hard to beat. I think that if you start out with a 2511T and you really like it, but you want to take it up a notch, send it out. Spend $300-400 and get it ported and polished. Have the bigger dogs put on it. Have the Panther conversion kit done, and get that extra out of that saw and take it to the next level. And then, you know, while your saw is out in the shop, pick yourself up a 355 just like I did, and use that and get used to using a heavier saw and let your muscles develop, and just get used to carrying a bigger saw on your hip. And you'll notice that you become a better climber and a better cutter as you start advancing very slowly. Don't start taking on massive trees. Small, you know, trees that are local to you, and don't be worrying about species that aren't in your area, like cutting big Doug firs. We don't have anything like that in Western Pennsylvania. We're gonna be doing small maples, bunch of spruce, and get good at cleaning sap off your chains and your bars, and you're gonna do great. You're gonna succeed. You're gonna kill it. And there's not going to be any obstacles in your way that you won't be able to overcome if you advance gradually. In closing, I'd have to say that I really like Echo, I really like Stihl, and get whatever's good for you and your dealer provides that you have a good relationship with. If you have a good relationship with your Stihl or Echo dealer, or maybe they sell both, great. You know, if you don't, try to go make that connection and try to find someone who can help guide you through what type of saws you want, what type of chains you want, people who will order things for you and go the extra mile, and not just some big box store where no one knows what's going on. You're just going to go in there and buy a couple of chainsaws and leave, and probably be disappointed at the end of the day because you didn't really get what you needed. But I'm in favor of porting and polishing everything and taking it to the limit and seeing what they can do. If they blow up, they blow up. It's probably your fault. You probably mix the fuel wrong. You probably adjusted the carburetor wrong, and that's a way to learn. You know, it is what it is, and take the good, take the bad, and you know, you'll come out on top. Just don't get upset. Have fun. Enjoy yourself. Running chainsaws is a blast, and I think everyone should do it. And if this is something that you find interesting, make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next job site.